Good Samaritan almost pays for his good deed with his life.
And now police say they need your help in identifying these three men here. This is surveillance video of that trio inside a store at a Valero gas station at Unser and McMahon last month. When they walked out to the pumps, a man says they were harassing a woman. So before the witness drove away, he confronted them, telling them to be more respectful. Police say instead, they chased him around the parking lot, jumped in their own car, and raced after him during rush hour. They also shot at the car, police say, twice, hitting the back of the vehicle.
He came to the realization that he could have been killed by any one of these bullets, and he's freaked out.
Take a look at the three men again. Police say they think they were in a dark blue car, possibly a Kia four-door.
And police are looking for another suspected shooter this morning. They say he shot at a bail bondsman Monday night. The group of bail bondsmen were trying to take Carlson Jones into custody Monday night near Catherine and San Mateo when he drove into one of them. A bail bondsman shot at Jones's car. Jones then ran off. A Good Samaritan followed him, Jones, and fired, hitting the victim's windshield. No one was hurt, luckily, but Jones, who does have a long criminal history, did get away.
Three new members of the Albuquerque Public School Board are scheduled to be sworn in today. Longtime District 1 Rep Annalee Maestas is the one returning board member among those three. Retired APS teacher Barbara Peterson is now representing District 4, and Peggy Muller-Aragon will take over outspoken former member Kathy Court's seat representing District 2. The swearing in is expected to take place during tonight's board meeting starting at 5. This year's school board election, you may remember, was plagued by low voter turnout. Fewer than 8,000 people cast their ballots. That amounts to less than 3% of eligible voters. Disappointing numbers since the election cost about $500,000. That breaks down to about $65 per vote.
The city of Rio Rancho says some of its residents should temporarily boil their water. Officials say a well pump failed in the area west of 10th Street near Northern. The request does not mean your water is contaminated. This is just a precaution. The city is working to repair the pump. In the meantime, residents will experience low water pressure. It's now 5:34. A bill aiming to stop bullying is headed to the House this morning. The Senate unanimously approved the anti-bullying bill named for Carlos Vigil yesterday. Vigil was 17 years old when he committed suicide after his family says he was bullied for a long time. The Carlos Vigil Memorial Act, sponsored by Democratic Senator Jacob Candelaria, will create an office at UNM to help come up with ways to stop this type of harassment. It would also help to raise money for prevention programs. A bill that will expand funding to help struggling students is now over another hurdle after passing the House unanimously. It expands K3 Plus, a program that extends the school year for students in kindergarten through third grade by 25 days. Right now, only kids that attend schools with D or F grades qualify. If the schools improve, they lose the funding. This bill allows those improved schools to continue to qualify for the program. Certified nurses right here in New Mexico, available to answer your health-related questions for free, anytime, day or night.
It's part of a nurse telephone hotline, and as News 13's Catherine Mazzone explains, nearly a decade after its inception, the nurse advice line's getting some national attention. Catherine?
Good morning, Adam. The idea sparked from a need to provide all New Mexicans with access to professional health information, especially those in rural areas.
Nurses will take your call any time of day or night and will answer your questions and make recommendations on the basis of the symptoms that you present. And it's all very carefully worked out.
UNM Community Health Dr. Arthur Kaufman says the nurse advice line can relay information from the calls to primary care physicians the next day. That means it's saving you many unnecessary trips to the emergency room. Nowhere else in the country can you find a service like this with local nurses. Kaufman says this is one of the most important public health interventions we've ever seen. And now the Center for Disease Control is taking notice.
This line allows the public health department to suddenly pick up when there's an outbreak, let's say of influenza. It allows them to know about that days before it appears from doctors' offices or emergency rooms so they can intervene quickly.
Now, during a summit next month in Atlanta, the CDC plans to recommend New Mexico's advice line as a national model that other states can use. Back to you, Adam.
Interesting, Catherine. Thanks. You know, in some cases, nurses are available to have a doctor call in prescriptions or advise the patient to call 911 if those symptoms are serious enough. If you'd like more information on the advice line, just visit our website, krqe.com, and click on KRQE links.
This morning, police are asking for your help in finding the driver who put a young woman in a coma. News 13 learned she is actually the victim of road rage. 21-year-old Taylor Dunn was hit by a red SUV early last month on Paseo del Norte in Louisiana. Friends tell us she was with her boyfriend when he got into it with another driver. Now, she got out to avoid the trouble. Then the red SUV hit her and took off. Police are not getting many leads at this time, and her friends are pleading for someone who knows something to come forward.
She was hit and backed up and hit her again. I mean, she has severe medical injuries.
Taylor has lost 50 pints of blood since that crash. Now the Corrales Seventh-day Adventist Church is planning a blood drive at Sandia View Elementary. We put information on the event on our website, krqe.com. In just a few hours, jurors are expected to hear opening statements in the Boston bombings trial.
Dzhokhar Tsarnaev is the only surviving suspect of the 2013 attack at the Boston Marathon finish line. The 21-year-old is accused of planning and carrying out the twin bombings along with his brother, who died in a shootout with police. 3 people died in the blasts and more than a dozen others lost their limbs. Tsarnaev, who maintains his innocence, could face the death penalty if he is convicted. Hillary Clinton is facing a new set of questions this morning over claims that she used her personal email account instead of a government one to conduct business while she was Secretary of State. During a pro-choice event yesterday, she avoided the topic. Instead, she hinted at a possible run for office in 2016. Republicans are now accusing her of violating the law.
Okay, listen to this. People in California are swearing by this machine they claim helps get rid of their pain. It's a cryosauna used for whole-body cryotherapy that started in Japan decades ago. Now, here's how it works. You get inside, exposing as much skin as possible. 3 minutes later, that's it, just 3 minutes, it's all over. A welcomed side effect to the treatment, tighter skin. There are also reports of improved sleep and even weight loss. Spa owners say it can burn 800 calories per session.
It's like 2 workouts.
Sign me up. 3 minutes,
You don't even have to move.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow. First this morning, APS says these protests over the park tests are taking a dangerous and disruptive turn now.
Get off now.
Yes! Hundreds of kids from Rio Grande High School marched out of class for the second time during the new standardized test yesterday and walked all the way up a busy Coors to West Mesa High, about 5 miles away. At times, our crews smelled marijuana, and you could hear plenty of profanities. It's the second day students there have protested Park. APS police kept a close eye on that crowd.
I think we need a change in this world. We need better leaders, and I don't think this test can make a better leader.
APS says protests like these will have consequences. Students who leave class will get an unexcused absence and a 0 for the entire day of testing. If students leave campus and go to another school, they can be charged with criminal trespassing and face suspension.
Startling new numbers are out when it comes to teens and dating violence this morning. The CDC found 1 in 5 high school girls has been physically or sexually assaulted by someone they dated. That's double the number of previous estimates. For boys, it's 1 in 10. A group that works to prevent teen dating violence says things are likely worse than what the study shows.
Of reasons young people won't come forward. They don't trust authority figures. They are fearful that they will be blamed.
The study found violence victims are more likely to attempt suicide, get into fights, drink, and do drugs. The CDC has changed the way it phrases its questions, which led to more students reporting assaults.
Video shows a thief violently carjacking an elderly man in Albuquerque. The 87-year-old was thrown to the ground in the parking lot of a Walmart. Police say the thief did take his keys, but the victim was able to get inside the car before he drove off. The thief eventually pulled over and the victim got out. Police are now looking for a man in a photo that we're hoping to show you here. You're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 843-STOP. Here we go. Here's the video that we're talking about where the 87-year-old's carjacked. And again, they're looking for somebody in the video. 843-STOP is the number to call Crime Stoppers if you know anything. On to this at 5:03. A high-speed chase ends with at least one Bernalillo County deputy opening fire, 1 man arrested, and a woman still on the run. It started near Coors and Barcelona early Tuesday morning. Deputies responded to to a suspicious vehicle, and when they tried to investigate, they say 33-year-old Danon Gabaldon took off in a van headed towards Isleta. Deputies say they tried blocking him in, but he kept going.
At this point, we know that our deputy did fire at least one round. We're still trying to determine if additional rounds were fired and who exactly fired the rounds.
During the chase, a woman jumped out of the vehicle. When it ended near Rio Bravo and Isleta, deputies say Gabaldon took off on foot, but was quickly taken down.
A Walmart manager could face charges for stealing tens of thousands of dollars through a bad check cashing scheme. Santa Fe police say 33-year-old Bernadette Sotelo used an inactive account to take home nearly $70,000. Authorities say Sotelo told them she had been having financial troubles and had cashed about 60 checks at Walmart for the past 2.5 years. Susana Martinez has agreed to release monthly reports detailing the spending of her security officers. This after a settlement to dismiss a lawsuit brought by the AP. The news organization sued the governor in 2013 when she refused to release records about her work, travel schedules, and cell phone calls. Martinez will now release statements similar to credit cards for the security officers who travel with her.
We're tracking a bill right now that would extend the school year for elementary students. It's moving forward in the state legislature after passing through the Senate Education Committee 5-4. Senate Bill 563 would add 25 more instructional days. The bill's sponsor, Senator Joseph Cervantes, says he hopes the changes will give students more of an opportunity to absorb class curriculum. The bill must still make it through another committee before being heard by the full Senate.
Now it's 5:06. Okay, imagine having a nurse on call 24/7, someone who could answer questions about your sick child or save you a trip to the emergency room. Fact is, you do, and it's free.
Yeah, pretty handy. News 13's Catherine Mazzone looked into a one-of-a-kind hotline only offered here. Catherine?
Good morning, Adam. Crystal. Through the Nurse Advice line, nurses will take your call any time of day or night. And like you said, it's free.
It has enormous advantages for our state, especially for people who don't have their own primary care doctor or live in a rural area or the facilities are closed at night or they don't know should they go to the emergency room or stay home.
Dr. Arthur Kaufman is a UNM family physician. He says this program gives everyone in New Mexico access to professional health information. There were nurse hotlines in New Mexico before, but this hotline is run locally. That means nurses know and can refer patients to primary care doctors. He says it could save you a trip to the emergency room, saying 67% of patients who were planning to go to the ER didn't after making the call. That cuts down on costs for everyone, including the healthcare system.
This is a simple telephone and it goes right to the patient's home, so it's very inexpensive.
Now, funding for the Nurse Advice Hotline comes from several organizations, including many insurance carriers, the state's health department, and UNM's Health Science Center. Back to you, Adam.
Very interesting. Thanks, Catherine. That unique service started up in 2006. It is garnering national attention right now. Could be used in other states, too. That part of the story coming up in our next half hour this morning. A baseball all-star takes on a different type of opponent in retirement, cyber bullies.
Yeah, Kurt Schilling became a protective father and internet detective after Twitter trolls targeted his teen daughter. It started last week when he posted a tweet congratulating his daughter on being accepted to college to play softball. The comments then turned violent and vulgar quickly. Schilling responded by naming two of the men who sent the most offensive tweets on his blog. One of them worked for the New York Yankees as a part-time ticket seller and was fired. Schilling is in touch with the FBI and local police about filing criminal charges now. An Iowa couple's adoption dreams are dashed after falling victim to a scam, giving money to a woman who promised them her unborn child.
The further along the woman got, the more red flags that Jill and Shayla Bresnan saw. An internet search revealed Tracy Bess had run the scam multiple times in multiple states, fooling desperate would-be parents into giving her cash for pregnancy expenses. She's since been charged with fourth-degree theft. A couple of Oregon cops are being recognized this morning for keeping cool in an uncertain situation.
Yeah, in lapel video, you can see the officers come across a woman blasting music in a parking lot, refusing to get out of her car. She even has a 6-year-old little girl in the back seat. Now that's when they notice she's holding something by her side. Look at this. Eventually, they do open the door. The woman lunges at them with a knife. Both officers don't fire their guns, though. Instead, they taser the woman. They're being awarded with the Medal of Merit for their quick thinking in a deadly situation.